coming up on the official Celtic FC podcast. Luke McCowan speaks about pre-season, his ambitions for the upcoming campaign, and he reflects on winning the title last season.
I was actually in the stand watching this like 2 years ago, what is going on here. Almost like a surreal moment of how my life ended up, I'm on this pitch winning the league now instead of just watching it.
Hello and welcome to the official Celtic FC podcast. I'm Matthew Campbell and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Luke McCowan. Luke, thanks very much for taking some time to chat to us. How's things? How was the summer break?
Fantastic. Obviously well needed after a kind of long season. But no, feeling well rested and glad to be back.
Do you have that kind of feeling when you come back in here, like, right, we're right back into it straight away with the intensity, or does it kind of a build up to that?
I think you get one day. You get one day and then it's one day of testing and kind of reintroduction to it all, and then the next day is just straight back into the intense stuff. So no, but that's the way you want it. As soon as you come back, you want to just get flung back into it. So no, it's nice to have that feeling again.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, like you say, it was a well needed, well deserved break. It was a crazy season last season. We'll chat a wee bit about that, but I'm intrigued. Obviously, playing at the top level of the game, even when you're away, you're off for a couple of weeks or whatever, maybe you go away on holiday, are you still trying to keep ticking over, or is it just total kind of chilled out?
I think I've got something wrong with me in that way, as in it probably gets to the third or fourth day that I'm resting and my head starts to go of, right, I better be doing something here. So no, I managed to actually kind of get away to Italy and stuff, and it was nice to have some downtime. But as I said, as soon as that 4th, 5th day hits of being rested, it's just I need to get back doing something. I need to kind of feel sweat hitting my eyebrow at some point just to make myself feel better. So no, it's you do get that. It's more a mental rest, never mind a physical one. I think it's just nice to kind of go away and relax that mental way, but physically you're always trying to just keep on top of what you've got.
Do you think that's potentially one of the most difficult and demanding things about obviously being a Celtic player and playing at that level? Like, obviously physically you're built for it, that's what you work every day for, but is it the mental side that you really need to try and get on top of?
Yeah, I think so. I think even when you just come to a club this size, it's the mentality that's the biggest thing. It's going after it every day, every training session, every game, home and away, regardless of where you're kind of going for the win every time. And it's kind of nice to then go away for that in the summer and actually, as I said, get the mental rest that you need, because it's, as I said, you get one day when you come back and you're straight back into that winning mentality and training, and the games come thick and fast as they do, and you wouldn't have it any other way.
No, absolutely. I mean, we'll chat, obviously, it's well documented that you're a Celtic supporter and stuff like that, so you're well aware of the club and the size of it before you came here, but how quick after you came to Celtic did you sort of adopt that mentality, or was it just as soon as you walked through the front doors of the place as a Celtic player, you have to have that winning mindset?
Do you know, I think as well, I think it sounds weird, but every footballer probably has that kind of winning mentality and hates losing. But then it's when you come to Celtic or you come to a club this size, and it's like you realise it's not just the mentality, it's just the way things are done here. And to kind of just go along watching guys that last year and just kind of seeing how their mentality is, to then just almost adds to mine and makes me kind of learn for them and stuff. So no, it's something that you definitely learn as you go along when you come in, but there is slightly a bit of that before you join. And I think that's why some people, you get in the door, is because you show that mentality elsewhere, and then once you're in the door, it's about adding to it and making sure that you're on top of it every single day.
Aye, totally. It's like a kind of prerequisite even before you come here. Aye. Yeah. When you came last year, when you joined the club, obviously pre-season was done, it'd been and gone. So this is your sort of first pre-season as a Celtic player. You'll have been through it obviously so many times at different clubs, but do you expect it to be different, like more intense sort of here because of the demands that are put on the players?
Do you know, I'm actually not even, probably just open-minded to it. I don't know what to expect. I've not really went about and asked what it would be like. Obviously other clubs, you're probably doing a lot of conditioning stuff without the ball, which is normal. But here obviously you get a lot more mixed, and even just the past couple of days it's been a slight bit of conditioning without the ball, which is obviously really hard, but everything is with the ball, everything's possession based, and it's all like kind of geared towards like the pressing game, the possession game that we work on, and it's as hard with the ball as it is without it. So it's no, but as I said, I'm open-minded to how the first pre-season is going to be, and just need to kind of take it day by day.
Absolutely, I'm sure you're looking forward to going away and some of the opposition that we'll be facing. I was just having a look before we sat down. Obviously, with it being the summer transfer window, players coming in already and stuff like that. It's got Benjamin and Callum, but looking as well at like Kieran and Ross coming back to Celtic as Celtic supporters. We're referencing yourself there as somebody who totally understands the club. There's plenty of boys in the dressing room who are the same, having grown up supporting Celtic or whatever. 100%. Like, does that add to the sort of atmosphere in the changing room and amongst the players, like that connection with the club and the fans?
Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, as you said there, you get obviously Ross, who I've known as well, playing with at Ayr, and he knows the club inside out coming through here. Obviously Kieran coming back, which is amazing for the club and the players in there. A big character and stuff. So, but I've actually not had the chance to meet Kieran yet. He's obviously not been in yet, but I'm sure, as you said, having that group of people that have came through the club, that know the club inside out, and obviously I'm just known it as a supporter, never mind these guys who are a supporter and a player. So no, it's a massive benefiting factor to it, and it can only propel us into a good way.
You mentioned Ross there. Obviously he mentioned that you two knew each other from playing together in the past. What's he like? Will it be a good sort of addition?
He's a great guy. He's probably one of the more calmer goalies say I've met, or one of the more normal ones, should I say. But no, he's a very humble, very honest guy. Likes to work hard, likes to go about his business, and he's a top goalkeeper. He's shown that in the first couple of days he's been here, and brilliant. Why he deserves to be here. So no, he's a top guy to have around the place.
It's brilliant, great for him as well. Obviously we're chatting as well about the fact it's the transfer window. Naturally there'll be outgoings as well. A good friend of yours just departed for.
I hope you're going to mention it.
I don't want to.
Tissues in the pocket.
I know. We can have a wee cry together. It's fine. Greg, I'm sure you'll keep in touch, but he was absolutely tremendous during his time here, wasn't he?
I think it's really understated the impact he had when he came through here, and his predecessor had been Izagiri, it's a hard one to follow, being the number 3 before him. So no, listen, the impact he had in that changing room was immense. He was somebody that was the biggest character, had the biggest laugh, but as soon as he crossed that white line, it was all serious mode. It was all about that mentality, and the first thing I told people when I signed was the shift that I had from him being somebody I knew to, he's a leader in here. Like something I probably didn't expect, is because I mean he's a great player when I played against him or whatever, but I didn't realise just that to the level of leadership he had at that point, and it'll be severely missed in there. As I said, just his voice around the place, and it helped me massively bed in. It helped me settle so quick, and just having him around the place to have normal conversations with, to take any pressures off of coming here as a new player, he just helped so much with that. So no, I owe him a lot of thanks, and I'm sure it's some point I'll see him before he leaves to travel over there, and it's a good place to visit in the holidays, so you never know.
A nice wee trip away. But that's interesting what you say, that kind of, because obviously you're somebody who you're mates with, but seeing them in a different kind of light, and quite 100%. Impressive.
That was massively impressive, because I've told them so many times already, but it was a switch, and it probably showed me right away the mentality switch, as we spoke about, just because I did see him as this kind of fun, outgoing guy who can obviously get serious when it comes to playing, but just in the changing room, the leadership, the impact his voice had around the place was big, and as I said, he'll be a miss.
Certainly. Looking back at last season, obviously it was hugely successful for us. From your point of view, when you look back, your first season as a Celtic player, what are your immediate kind of thoughts and memories?
Obviously my debut was nice. The first Derby 3-0, that was a good way to kind of start it off and go for there. Obviously then the next following games I get the goal, which is amazing, but do you know what, it's just more so the fact that I was able to play so many games. I was able to kind of come away for having like 40 appearances last year, which is absolute immense for me. I wouldn't have ever thought coming in my first season, because anywhere I've been in my first year, it's always about bedding in, learning the role, learning the tactics, learning whatever. But to come in and play a big impact in the team is nice, and I just need to kind of add to that probably again this year. That's the kind of sad reality of it, is football never stops. You just need to keep going. So no, it's nice to look back on, and a few bits and bobs, obviously like Champions League debut and different things like that. So I'm sure at some point I'll be able to sit down and look back, but I can't do that just now.
Not right now, of course. It's too busy, too intense. I found it interesting last season, and I totally understood where you were coming from. Obviously, when we won the League Cup, and because you'd been cup tied, you're part of the setup. You're obviously here working every day and hugely involved in it. But it was almost that feeling of, I want to win something that I've actually feel I've 100%. Contributed on the pitch. That obviously came in winning the league title. Yeah. I know you spoke after the match at Tannadice on the pitch. It was wonderful. It was great to see a Celtic supporter that buzzing and having contributed. Looking back on that now, is that just something that's just going to be stored in your mind forever?
Aye, I think probably the sad reality of it, and I say this to people as well when they ask me about it, is obviously the point gap was obviously bigger. So it's as if each game we got closer to the end of the season, it's kind of like almost right. Is it going to happen this one? Is it going to whatever it may be? However, I think when the final whistle went at Tannadice, it was just a case of wow, like this is kind of happened here. And the more then the day went on, the night went on, I was able to reflect on. I was actually in the stand watching this like 2 years ago. What is going on here? Almost like a surreal moment of how my life ended up. I'm on this pitch winning the league now instead of just watching it. So no, it was immense, and having like my fiance there watching again as well, and able to share it with kind of family and friends, and know how hard I've worked to get to that moment was nice. But I think as well, as you said, like that's probably other things that I've looking forward to this year is getting to play in the League Cup, because obviously last year never got to play a game, and the boys went on and done incredible in it, and it'll be good for me to play a part in that hopefully, and kind of help go towards other trophies.
Aye, definitely, and hopefully you're right, even more silverware coming in. You mentioned the Champions League there. You know, just from a footballer's point of view, so many footballers obviously say, that's the competition you want to play in, that's the level. But what was it like? Could you feel the kind of step up in level when you're playing in the games?
Aye, everybody was over 6 foot, I think, and I was 5 foot 7.5.
Tell me about it. I know exactly.
So, but no, listen, when you're at that level, you just need to go in with the most confidence you can have. And I think as soon as I played in that, it was after it I was playing at Brecon City this first game of the season because Dundee Dens wasn't ready. And then now I'm at Atlanta away. It was a big, massive jump, and I was just like, after the game, I was going, wow, that's a incredible kind of like roller coaster, if you want to say, to get there. So no, it was an incredible feeling. But as you said there, you're coming up against the boys, and every one of them are quick, every one of them are strong, and you can tell why they're playing Champions League football kind of regular within their careers. And it's nice to go up against them and see what you can give in that kind of level of tournament.
It might feel like a kind of obvious question, obvious answer, but I assume that must just give you a hunger to get back there again.
Oh, this 100%, season. Yeah. I think that's a given now with this club. It's representing well in that tournament and showing that we are a Champions League team. And we proved that last year. The fact that the boys and myself obviously but didn't manage to get on the pitch, but you go and you put on an incredible performance against Bayern Munich, and I'd imagine if the ties were reversed, you're coming home with a draw. You never know what could happen at Parkhead. So no, it was incredible to see the boys do well in that. But I'm sure this year it will be about pushing on and try to do one step better.
Here's hoping. We were looking back at last season. Obviously, so many high points. You're talking about that Derby win, winning the title, winning the League Cup. But it would be kind of remiss of me here to talk about last season and not talk about the disappointment of the Scottish Cup final as well. It didn't detract from the season, of course, as we know, but there's no getting away from the fact that it was a sore one.
100%.
We've talked about the sort of mental aspect of the game. When you go back up the tunnel and into the dressing room after losing the Scottish Cup final, how do you cope with that as a player?
Just sheer rage, and personally probably rage and disappointment on my half. I would always, most players in there do that. It's why they're the most honest and humble guys there is, but everybody looks inwards first. You've probably seen that just with even Cal's reaction to what happens, AJ's reaction to what happens, is these guys have been absolute amazing for this club in the past years, and they react like that. They don't react of, oh, I've done well before. Yeah. So I think that was just my initial reaction, was how much more could I have done in that game? How much more could the team have done? How much, just almost, it's always the same way. And even any loss, it's just about, oh, could I have done this? Could I have done that? And that's always the thing you're told before you go out, is just leave nothing out there. Don't come in with any regrets. Don't come in with anything. So, no, but it's just one of the ones, the first day, the first night, it's hard to get over, and you know, defeats come in football sometimes, and it's not nice to feel, but it's about using that now to propel ourselves into that competition again and be even more hungry to go and do well in it. And I think that's the beauty of losing, is it can kick you on and make you a kind of different animal. So I'm sure this year that'll be the kind of message going forward in each stage of the cup. Absolutely, and that's, you sum it up perfectly. The kind of, that's the mentality that seems to just exude from you boys every time that, you know, chat about the next game and what's coming next. It's all about how you use those 100%. Experiences. If you don't do that, then, as you know, you end up just too disappointed with it, and it's always regret, and it's always kind of sadness, if you want to say, but you have to use it to kind of push on and move on. Yeah, absolutely. It's been sort of emotional week or so for everybody involved, obviously, at the club, with the sad passing of John Clark. As a Celtic man, you have been well aware all through your life of John's contributions and who he is to the club. In your time here over the last year, though, did you ever have any interactions or meet any chance? Do you know, sadly I didn't. However, this week, obviously, a lot of boys have came forward with kind of some stories or memories and stuff like that, so it's really nice to hear. Yeah. Actually, like, obviously, everything's always positive with the kind of Lisbon Lions and how amazing they are for this club, but to hear some stories about personal people and how some of the boys know them and interacted with them was amazing. And it's just nice to hear those stories on a kind of week of sadness. Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about, you know, we've spoken about Luke the Celtic player. Let's chat a wee bit about Luke the Celtic supporter, because I know I'm not going to be alone in the Celtic support and feeling a sort of, I don't know, it's like a sense of pride at watching a Celtic supporter out in the park, you know, playing for Celtic. Right, so when you were sort of like growing up, who were the players that you were looking at, Celtic players? Look, I've said this, it's the kind of 2003-04 squads, Larsson, Thompson, Baldy, Jackie Mack, Rab Douglas, the usual, Sutton, Hartson, just all the... It's like your first Celtic team. That was my first, I think I was maybe 5 or 6, and that was a team that, I think I had the DVD that ran through that season. It was like the Celtic TV commentators as well, and his voice still in my head about, like, I remember watching like the pre-season games that year and all that, it was amazing. So no, that was my first team, and then you obviously follow the boys through, and just as I became older, you're still a Celtic supporter, whatever it may be, but then when you become into football, it almost kind of, it's sad to hear, but it switches into a mode of, I'm coming up against Celtic now, so you're almost having to kind of come across as, like, I can't be a supporter anymore. I need to put Luke first here. I need to do this. So it's hard, and it's weird. I remember I remember like one of my first times going to Celtic Park with Dundee, and I got absolutely hammered. I remember thinking, how could you do that to me? I'm one of you. How could you do that to me? How could you hurt me like that? Aye, so I was gutted. Do you know what I mean? I remember that was probably the first time I was going, right, it's not personal, it's actually just, you need to work hard, you need to do what you're doing, it's business as usual, whatever. So no, it's you know what it's like being a Celtic supporter. It probably just exemplifies on people when you come across them up here, how nice they can be, how amazing people they are. So no, it's every member of my family is a Celtic supporter as well, and they all love it, and they're so proud that I'm now kind of wearing the jersey. Amazing, it's brilliant. So when you were you getting taken to games and that when you were a kid? No, so it was only really my uncle that had a season ticket at the time. Right. At that point, we were just kind of watching the TV. My dad and myself, I would play football at Saturday mornings with my granddads and stuff. So I don't think they could actually really probably afford to go and get a season ticket and whatever, so it was only my uncle, 2 uncles used to go, and he took me to my first game, Larson 5-1 against Motherwell maybe, or Livingston, I can't remember who it was, and I just remember being like 7 or 8, and my uncle ran away from me after like Larson scored one of his last games, and I was like he's ran away down the bottom, left an 8-year-old up in the crowd, I was getting flung about like a rugby ball. So no, the memories I've got for there is amazing. Obviously, as I become older, you go to more games probably on your own. Few Europa League matches here and there at the start. A few league games when I wasn't playing myself. So no, you kind of always surrounded by it. So any time Celtic's been on the TV as well, it was always put on in the house and whatever. So you were never getting away from it.
It's brilliant, and it's great. Like, you'll know as well as a supporter that it's great for the support to see, one of their own out there on the pitch. I was reading earlier a story from maybe earlier in the summer that you went back to your old school and had wished the boys good luck before one of their cup finals. Yeah. But when I was reading that, I was thinking, for you, walking into a situation like that, knowing that you'll be inspiring other young players to chase the dream of pulling on the hoops, that must be an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah, I think it's probably surreal because at that point in my life, I would have never even thought I was going to be a football player, never mind go and play with the best team in the country. You walk back in there and I don't even realise, I was saying this to Erin, my fiancée, I was like, when I walked back in there, I didn't realise the actual impact I could have in that school, and it was like, I had guys coming out of the classes, like just to come and see us. Like, I had like teachers then coming out that I'd never met, want to talk to me and ask me my story, and it was just a kind of special feeling to be able to go back. And to be honest, I didn't even go back for that. I tried to sneak in the side door. Because I wanted to hand a top in. Right. A teacher that I had in that school passed away, and I wanted to go in and hand a top for his charity that they ran for him. And I sadly couldn't do that. The teacher that I went in with decided to just show me about like the whole school. Yeah. So, but again, as you said, I think when I go back there, it's nice to kind of have memories of, I didn't actually know I was going to be. But if I could go back to that 6-year boy and tell him, listen, if you just keep doing what you're doing, this will work for you. So no, it's a special feeling to do that.
Incredible. It's a sensational story. And finally, look, listen, I appreciate you taking time, because I know that it's been when we pulled in to Lennoxtown, I could see that some training and that going on. I know it's intense, but we're on the verge, obviously, of beginning the pre-season fixtures. Queen's Park, then we're off to Ireland. Yep. Before you know it, we'll be into the season ahead. How much are you looking forward to another season in the hoops?
Oh, I can't wait. Obviously, just even wee things like new training kits, new strips coming in.
It's like Christmas, isn't it?
Aye, new boots on, the grass is looking greener again, the weather's nicer, so no, it's good. And as you said there, we get to go to Ireland and the fans will be absolutely amazing over there. You go to Portugal and there'll be any surprise that there's going to be Celtic fans out there and coming in their numbers. And then obviously you get to go to Como for the last one, which is, to see some of these places is absolutely like a gift for me to go to some special venues, some special stadiums as well. So no, it'll be great, and then as you said, you're straight back into it. So no, it's everything you want.
No rest for the champions.
Of course.
Listen, thank you very much.
No worries.
Look, much appreciated, and thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode of the official Celtic FC podcast with one of our own, Luke McCowan. Thank you very much, and hail hail.